Hello and welcome, Draft League fans. Let me just go ahead and link this to my Discord if you want to catch these streams live. That's where I'm linking them. Anyways. Here we go. Alright, so let's start, right? Oras has been around for a while, right? A lot of people say it's the most solved meta. I think that's probably right. There's quite a few pretty common structures that people tend to draft. But anyways, there's still a lot to learn, right? What's up, Happy Gay? What's up, Walt? How are we doing today? Alright, so basically, Princess Autumn went over this, like, guide to Oras draft. I want to see how updated this is. Like, some things do change quite a bit in draft, so we want to see if this is still entirely relevant. I'm sure it'll be mostly relevant, but with the Oras Cup number 3 coming around very shortly, right? I think signups close tomorrow. We're going to be looking at this and seeing where we can update a little bit of this information, and then we're going to look at Mega Garde in particular, and if we still have time, maybe some of the top tier grounds as well. Alright, what's the appeal of Oras as someone who's never played it? Well, the appeal of Oras, for some people, is like nostalgia, right? People started playing a lot during Oras. That was when draft first started. But also, yeah, like Keegan said, there's more turns, there's more decisions. Generally speaking, Oras is a little bit more likely for like the better player to win than maybe some of the other old gens. And what I mean by that is like the decisions that you're making are a little bit more impactful long term. You thought Yard Crest was the #1 core in Oras draft? Okay. We can't all be Keegan, okay? Anyways. So Oras is kind of defined by entry hazards, really strong wall breakers. These days in 8-mon draft, more so offensive structures are stronger. But you do see a lot of like hazards, Volt Turn, because defog is not very well distributed, let's say, and the spinners tend to be pretty bad. Like if you look at a draft board right now, how much of this is on the screen? Most of it. Let me just like this. We take a look at the Oras draft board, right? See, the top threats really are just Mega Garde, some great ground types, and then Mew, right? So Psychics and Grounds really rule this format if you look at it like that. And so the rest of the draft board kind of has to adapt to that. So you see a lot of really bulky steel types like Jirachi. You see Skarmory quite a bit, Scizor, Metagross is a big part of Oras, Klefki. These things are all like aiming to at least slow down Mega Gardevoir. Skarmory, for example, is there to slow down Garchomp, Lando T. You see Rotom Wash is really great in this format. Spreading Burn, right? 12.5%. And then obviously Ground Resist. Checks Lando I, checks Lando T, checks Garchomp to some degree. Then you see like in Oras, a lot of these Pokemon are not that fast, right? Mega Gardevoir at base 100 is actually a fast Pokemon. Landorus is a fast Pokemon. Gren is like super fast. There's not a whole lot out there that can really match Gren. Latios is fast in this generation. Like, it's a little bit of a different experience than like SV or one of the other more modern gens, right? There's no boots, and removal is ass. So like in SV, removal is still ass for the most part, but at least there's boots, right? In this gen, the only boots is like Clefable, like Magic Guard, that kind of thing. Reuniclus is like really fallen off in the past few years, so people don't really draft that thing too much anymore, but Clefable is going to be your #1 Magic Guard user. Pretty much the same as OU, right? What else is there? Scald users are a lot better. Like things like Keldeo that just spam Scald. Pretty nice in this gen, right? Fishing for burns is a little bit more rewarded. And what else is there? There's Hidden Power, so that's a big thing, right? Something that keeps Lando, Scizor in check. Like, in this gen, Lando, Garchomp are kind of crazy. Is Balloon more common to get temporary spikes immunity? I haven't seen it a whole lot, so I wouldn't call it common, but it is a good idea, I think. A lot of times you see Balloon if, like, a team doesn't really have great ground resists, and you're playing against Chomp or Lando T or something like that, and you really need that Earthquake switch in for that one time. I've seen it used like that quite a bit, but not really so much spikes immunity. That's an interesting thought, though. I'm sure people could experiment with that. But anyways, let's look at this like guide to Oras and see how out of date or like stuff it is. Because this is not that old. Alright, so round 1 options. Well, let's go through all of this, right? Like I was saying, Oras is a bit slower. So like speed tiers are a little bit more like more lenient, right? You can go base 100 is actually fast in this generation. Balloon feels like it gets better fewer turns, which are harder to make use in Oras. I kind of get that, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, here. So basically, Greninja is actually complex banned, which is something that Smogon tends to shy away from. But in Oras, it was like kind of always that way when it was the main gen. So it's kind of like grandfathered in, you know? And Greninja is such a big part of the format that it's really hard to remove it without really impacting stuff. Has Mega Venu fallen off in Oras? Mega Venu's fall off needs to be studied, right? Because back in like 2016, 2017, Mega Venu was like one of the best megas considered by the community. But these days, it's like undraftable for 10 points, you know? It's actually crazy, the difference. The main reason for that, right, is back in the day, like I'm talking 8 years ago at least, Mega Venu balance was really, really common. And it didn't actually go away until like maybe 2019, I want to say. Maybe 2020. Like we saw a lot of Mega Venu balance structures being drafted all the time. It was like, for example, Mega Venu, Jirachi, Clef, throw a Lando T in there. Stuff like that. Really, really bulky, really hard to kill. And in times like that, wall breaking was like kind of like a dedicated role kind of thing. People didn't see the game quite the same way. Does the Oras cap have the goofy turn 1 Mega Roll? No, it does not. That is a relic of the past. No one really does that anymore. But yeah. The main thing with Mega Venu, right? It's very bulky, it's reasonably strong, but people kind of discovered the move Taunt, which really messes up Mega Venu. Like, I remember there was a league I was playing in back in, what was this, 2016, 2017? It was around there, where my opponent had like one of those super, super fat balance structures, like Aloe, Registeel, classic Oras stuff, you know? Current gen Oras, so fat. And I just brought like 3 taunt users and they actually got mad at me after the game. Like, oh my god, why are you so lame using taunt? Like, bro. You can't be using fat stuff like that. And that's kind of the reason why Oras has tended to shift more into like a hazard stack offense kind of direction recently. And by recently, I mean like the past 4 or 5 years, something like that. It's not like a super recent development, but definitely see a lot more offense. And we're going to go through that, right? Because Mega Guard, which is the topic of this video overall, is like the best wall breaker in the tier. And you see that really supported by, you know, Volt Turn offense, stuff like that. Great Scarfers, Pursuit, stuff like that. Yeah, you kind of did have to run Taunt Hazard Stack for those teams, but people didn't discover that. Like, I know it's kind of silly to say, but people back then were not good at drafts, you know? So, yeah, definitely people have gotten quite a lot better. Anyways, where were we here? Here, yeah. No heavy-duty boots. This is the main thing, right? Spikes are so oppressive in Oras. Rocks as well, right? But spikes especially. If you're able to get multiple layers up, it's really hard. It's really hard. There is some defog and some spin, but it does come at a premium. Because like there's so little options, they tend to be higher priced. That's something that I myself, you know, in charge of some of the draft boards, I've been trying to like shy away from that, because you do want teams to have reasonable tools to deal with hazards, right? So I think stuff like Tentacruel, we don't want to get it too expensive, even though it is a pretty common pick. But anyways, there's Hidden Power, there's Pursuit, there's Return, important for stuff like Megalopony. So no cut moves like that. Yeah. Alright, so what else? Recovery moves are 16 PP for the most part. Hail, of course. Spin, yeah. Burn, 12.5. This is like the big defining feature of Oras, I feel like. 12.5% burn. It's so impactful. And you're going to see a lot of Pokemon on the draft board, their viability is like directly tied to this change. Or like, you know, 12.5%, you know? Sucker being 80 is nice. That's probably the main reason why Mega Mawile remains banned, you know? A Destiny Bond. This is something a lot of people don't realize. They don't know this. Destiny Bond you can use multiple times in a row. There's no, like, Destiny Bond failing. So, like, Prankster, like, you know, Mega Bayonet, for example, you're usually going to get your 1-for-1 with Destiny Bond. Alright, anyways. Right, Gliscor can't use Defog with its hidden ability. Zapdos has to be Pressure. This is like the main one, right? You see a lot of Pressure Zapdos just so you can run Defog. So yeah, obviously you'd usually prefer Static. And then this, Mega Evolving does not grant speed changes. So like, Mega Gardevoir, for example, is base 80 speed the first time it attacks, even if you Mega Evolve. That's a change that they made in Gen 7. But yeah. The Mega Sableye gets Prankster the first turn, yeah, because the speed calculation is done before the Mega Evolution, so Sableye gets Prankster and Magic Bounce. And then Pixelate, and the other abilities like it, still have the 1.3 times multiplier instead of 1.2 from the current gen, or like the more modern gens. So this is really important for Mega Gardevoir. Mega Altaria as well, Mega Glalie, stuff like that. Mega Pinsir, I guess, but Pinsir is kind of like rocked by Hazard, so he's not entirely too great, even with the 1.3. And Gale Wings, this is good for Talonflame, right? It's a little bit better in Oras than other gens. T-Wave is like God, right? 1/4 speed is like really, really slow. So, yeah. Prankster does affect Dark types, that's the change they did. After that, let's see. Double Protect is a little bit more likely. T-Wave is the best move in Oras, low-key. T-Wave, Scald, knock off those things, yep. Crits are a little bit more likely. So this is like a little bit of a nerf to like stuff like Clefable, Calm Minding, stuff like that. Hidden Power. This is most important for Hidden Power Fire. You can't run max speed. So in a speed tie, if you run HP Fire, you will lose it 100% of the time. Let's see. There's no Pelipper Drizzle, so Rain has to deal with Politoed, which is not great. Shuriken Gren is physical. Ayapapa's not real. Leech Life isn't real. Quillfish is a little bit less bulky. And Doug is a little bit less strong. But like overall, the main ones you want to look at are the Burn, Pixelate, and this T-Wave thing. Right? Those are the most important ones. Alright, so let's look at this here. Let me bring this over here. Alright, so this is a little bit outdated, right? Garchomp has since joined the 19-point tier. Are you guys talking about how broken Talonflame is? Yo, Talonflame Sableye is like a pretty well-known structure. Like, it's good in OU, and it's also good in draft. We've seen it a few times over the years. And usually it's performed pretty well. Anyways, Lando T, statistically, I think still the #1 Pokemon in DPL anyways for Oras. This thing got a really big boost by some really great players using Lando T drafts and having really great records. Like for example, if I go to here, if we look at just from all-time Pokemon stats, this is just based on the team's win records. Let me just show you real quick so you can see the whole thing. So DPL is the team tour that I run. It's really high level Oras games happening all the time there. Lando T has had the biggest win rate over the most games, so that goes into a score formula, and so Lando T, #1 best performing Pokemon, but Gardevoir, which is right there, you know, #3, really consistent, right? You never really see a negative win record from a guard draft, which sometimes you will see it from other things. I don't think we've seen a negative win rate from guard in DPL since maybe season 5. Everyone has always been at least neutral overall when you combine all the guard drafts. I think season 6 was 9 and 8. Season 7, what was it? Let's see, Pokemon stats. This season, guard was 7 and 4, and then in the most recent season, it was 7 and 3. So like really, really consistent. Like guard pretty much always performs at a high level. Registeel is broken because it checks guard? Yeah, pretty much. Registeel is one of the more consistent steel types in the format because it's just so bulky. Doesn't really care about rocks that much. You can get rocks up yourself. T-Wave, you know, has a lot of things going for it this gen. But yeah, Gardevoir, that Pixelate, best wall breaker in the tier. Always pretty much hovering around that 60% win rate. Anyways, back to this. Yeah. So we were talking about Lando T. Yeah, one of the best Scarfers in the format. Probably the best Scarfer. Yeah, Registeel's Prime Gen before it fell off. Exactly. So Lando T, basically just big Earthquake button, right? Earthquake is probably like one of the better moves in Oras. There's not a whole lot of ground resist that people love drafting. You see stuff like Bronzong. Like, that Pokemon is not that good. Registeel is still good today, don't get twisted. I know you like Registeel, but a lot of people are not in the same boat, unfortunately. Myself included. I think that Mon is like really, really passive in SV, and you can't really afford to do that. But anyways, back to Oras. Like Rocks, Scarf, and then obviously this Double Dance set. Very, very potent in the end game. Even like Rock Polish, like Earth Plate, stuff like that. Really great cleaner. You do see SD like defensive sets sometimes. Just to break through opposing bulky Pokemon and you still switch into a bunch of stuff. Yeah. I think this is absolutely a lie, right? It is probably the best Scarfer in the tier by a margin. But yeah, that's just my opinion, I guess. Yeah, so Mega Gardevoir, right? The topic of this video. I keep forgetting to adjust my OBS. Right, but anyways, Mega Gardevoir, the best wall breaker in the tier. I think probably the #1 Pokemon, just in general. Just because it's like so easy to build around Mega Guard. It's also easy to build around Lando T, don't get it twisted. But Mega Guard gives you that centerpiece to really build around. Whereas Lando T, you do need some other stuff with it. Who wrote this? This is Princess Autumn. Anyways, yeah, Mega Gardevoir. The 12% Will-O-Wisp is a big thing. Pixelate Hyper Voice being 1.3, really, really great. I think Guard is like one of the best Pokemon to trade opposing threats with because it's such a big threat. It really forces them to stay in and get that chip. Right, Mega Gardevoir, you can't really switch into it safely. Even stuff like Scizor, you know, you have to worry about HP Fire, Will-O-Wisp, Registeel, you have to worry about Will-O-Wisp, and then you can like low-key sub-protect until Registeel dies to burn. Like low-key. I mean, people don't really run sub-protect Will-O-Wisp, but hey, I'm just saying. Focus Blast does like 45% of that thing. Yeah. Manectric at 5, good times. Yep. Wisp Taunt, yeah, that's the main one. Yeah, like Taunt Wisp sets I think are really good. Like just very, very bulky with Hyper Voice, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, and then either Protect or Wish or a coverage move, something like that. A really, really consistent set at just trading down into the opposing walls. Kind of just a stall breaker kind of set. There's also like the faster offensive sets. If the opponent's team is a little bit more faster paced, you need to outspeed some stuff. It can just go max speed Timid and hit insanely hard, right? Shadow Ball, Focus Blast coverage, with Hyper Voice, Psyshock for, you know, some stuff like that. Like every guard set is like hit speed tier, it needs max HP, rest, and defense because it hits so hard already. Yeah, you don't really need special attack investment most of the time. It's like pretty similar if you think about Chi Yu in SV. It's a very similar thing, right? Base 100 speed, great natural special bulk. But the thing that makes Gardevoir better than Chi Yu is the better Will-O-Wisp, the better typing, and of course Hyper Voice is a much better stab to have. So yeah, it's just a better Chi Yu if you think about it. But yeah. It pairs with a large variety of round 2 picks. I somewhat agree. I think there are definitely some guard builds that are, you know, more common than others for a reason. You see 2 main structures. I'm going to go over them in a bit, but yeah. It does have pretty bad physical bulk, but you can pretty much invest max physical bulk most weeks. And it's really hard to one-shot guard. Like, even with its, like, on paper low physical defense, it's really hard to kill even then. Like, you can EV to live, like, Technician Bullet Punch from Scizor. You can EV to live, what else? Life Orb Garchomp EQ. Like, you can live that. So it's kind of crazy. You can live like Landorus Sludge Wave if you really want to. Like, what can actually one-shot Lopunny? Not a whole lot, right? Let's see, can we go through this? Maybe Life Orb Gunk Shot from Greninja versus some sets you can one-shot. Maybe like a Scarf Kyurem Iron Head, potentially, but I don't think that even kills guard, like if it's bulky from full. Maybe Mega Charizard X Flare Blitz, like that's so strong though. Even Mega Medi, I know you can live a Poison Jab. I know you can do it. So like, it might be on paper low physical bulk, but in practice, dude, it can live anything that you really want it to and kill back. Like, that's the number one thing guard is really used for. Living a hit from that big threat, KOing back, or, you know, you get that slow Volt Switch, slow U-turn on a switch, then you get your Gardevoir, you get your free KO on something you're faster than. That's another way to use Gardevoir. But yeah. Probably go over just the top tier grounds and then we'll move on, right? Garchomp, right? One of the best ground types in the tier. Kind of similar to Lando T, I think, in the way that it functions. Is a great Scarfer in this gen, which is not really the case in future gens, right? You see Scarf Garchomp sometimes, but in Oras, it's like much more common and much more potent. Let's see. There's like rocks, like tank sets. So like Rocky Helmet into opposing Mega Scizor, stuff like that. You see a lot of Life Orb Chomp. That stuff, like, it does the most damage to guard, realistically. You see Choice Band sometimes, like, there's not a whole lot that switches into Garchomp stabs in Oras, so people tend to take advantage of that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a good Pokemon overall. Great stabs, great stats, can really do anything. And then Landorus. This is something that used to be banned pretty universally, but now it's back. And by back, I mean it's finally freed. Because back in the day, people were building draft boards, they wanted to base it around OU, and Landorus was banned in OU, so it was banned in draft. It's really that simple. But these days, we have a little bit more leeway to allow some stuff. So Landorus was dropped, and in other gens, it's like a little bit mid, I'm not going to lie, but in Oras, it's really, really top tier. Right? Like I said, base 100 is fast, and base 101 gets the jump on a lot of Pokemon. A lot of Megas, right? Charizard X, Gardevoir is the big one. It's the reason why Garchomp feels so good as well. It's faster than base 100, which is a really, really big deal, right? Life Orb, Sheer Force, it really hits a lot of the team, or a lot of teams very hard. And then Rock Polish, right? It lost this in SV, but in Oras, Rock Polish Lando is one of the best late game cleaners I've found. It's really easy to set up a win with Rock Polish Lando. So people tend to do it, you know? Calm Mind. I've seen a lot of Calm Mind bulky sets, just trying to brute force through some opposing walls. I've used it myself against stuff like Rotom Wash. You can basically guaranteed 1v1 Rotom Wash with Lando T if you just run like pretty bulky Calm Mind Sledge Wave. Yeah, because Hydro Pump is not even 2-hit KOing you back. Yeah, so you can do a lot of cool things with Landorus. Anyways, that's like kind of like the top 4 Pokemon, in my opinion. These great ground types in Mega Gardevoir, and they really influence how you want to build in this gen. You really need a great guard check, and you need some good ground resist. Those are like the main things that you need. I'm not going to go over the rest of these, but... And then we have a little addition from Zazo, Iron Flash Gaming. If you're unaware, Zazo is like one of the GOATs of the game. Oras is probably his best tier. So, like, yeah. Leaving the basics here, but, yeah, like he said, 2 months faster than base 100 speed stat. You don't want to get farmed by a Gardevoir, stuff like that. Ideally, you want one of them to be a great Choice Scarf user. Just for something like Charizard X, you know, DD, or like Volcarona Quiver Dance. Those are like the main like fire setup threats that you want to, you know, have something faster than. More than one Stealth Rocker, of course, is a given. In a meta with like lacking hazard control, you do want Rocks Up like pretty much all the time. Fat Ground or two that can guard reverse Volt Switch, right? Because a lot of electrics are really good in Oras. You can post your stream there. Post my stream where? Anyways, a Steel that can check Mega Gardevoir in a pinch. Notice the only Pokemon mentioned by name in this is Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, it's really that central to the format. In the forum, I could post it, yeah. But whatever. People are going to find it naturally. And then Knock Off and Scald. Alright, these are just good moves you want to have on your draft. I don't know if this is like the most important thing, but, you know, you do want Knock Off to some degree, I think. Stuff like Crocodile, really great in this gen, for example. And then Scald, right? Keldeo, one of the greatest Pokemon in Oras. For a reason, right? But yeah, in general, pretty cool. And then, of course, the other thing I'm going to talk about real quick is the Oras Cup signups, right? These are open until tomorrow. I think there's like 330 or something signups. So if you are interested in playing Oras Draft, definitely sign up for this. It's a great way to learn, get your feet wet in the format. Or, you know, if you're already good at Oras, you know, go for that win, you know? I signed up for this. It's going to be a fun time. Draft Mega Pinsir and Oras? No, I don't think I will. That Pokemon is way too ruined by hazards. Like, you need so much support for Mega Pinsir, it's just not really worth it. Anyways, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this stream, which is going to be Mega Gardevoir, right? I have a few replays that I've selected from recent or not so recent tournaments, right? Because Gardevoir has been around for forever. So, right here, this is a very old replay. We're going to go in chronological order. This is from DPL Season 3. This is from 2020. And yeah, so unfortunately, right, a lot of Mega Gardevoir's history was snapped by Zeril when he did that, you know, thing. So yeah, this is Megazam. This is yeah, 2020. Okay, this one isn't recent, but the other ones are, trust. I think I have 2 replays from DPL Season 3, just to give like a little portal back in time, see what it was like, right? You see these like fatter structures, right? The Mandibuzz, the Ferrothorn, the Suicune. People don't really use Suicune these days. But yeah, this is a very fat structure. You see a lot of U-turn into Megazam. This is kind of what this team is built around. Then on the other side, we have Mega Gardevoir with a Trapper, right? So you can kind of trap those steals or stuff like that, stuff that beats Guard. Usually it's so focused on beating Guard, you can kind of trap it with Goth, like Loki, or even like trick it, like a Choice Band or something like that. It's actually crazy looking back at these cores and seeing how them had evolved. Yeah, exactly. I know in this season in particular, Jolt was using a very fat balanced team with like Venusaur, Talonflame, that sort of thing, Clefable. I think Jirachi. Did we just start? Yeah, we started like half an hour ago, but we didn't go over any replays yet. You caught these. It's Hydreigon, Infernape, so like a little bit of U-turn, stuff like that. Zapdos or Volt Switch, so like a lot of pivoting moves into Guard. You see Ferrothorn as well, the Ferrothorn Mirror for like the spikes. A lot of people built around spikes. The best Pokemon in Oras Draft is Ace Trainer Josh's Zapdos. Yo, that might be true though. That might be true. Thank you, Vergi. Very helpful. Yeah, Jolt was good at using them too. He always went positive. Maybe not always, but like definitely reasonable results. I think he went 5-2 or something in one season. Anyways, let's take a look. So Zapdos leads off into Mana Buzz. This is great. Heat Waves the Pharaoh on the Switch. What a beast. By the way, this is Kaz and Golden Centurion. Kaz, this is kind of his breakout year, right? Or was it Season 2? No, Season 2 was his breakout year when he kind of like jumped onto the scene. Did really well as a mid-season pickup, and then this season he like kind of made a name for himself as like one of the top players in the format at the time. These days he's a little bit more of an old man, more on the retired side, but he does run the Hoenn Classic, which is like old gen stuff. I know he plays there, but we don't really see him in team tours too much these days. Kind of like TJ, yeah. He's still around, but he doesn't really play in team tours much anymore, or like the larger tournament format. He is the GOAT, yep. You know, actually, it's crazy what this guy did in Season 2 of DPL, which was like 2019. So, he was on Gypsy King's team. Gypsy as well, one of the GOATs. And Gypsy actually went for 60k, which is half of the team's budget, because the captains didn't understand the concept of the auction. It was a crazy thing. Anyways, Kaz came in for 3k in the mid-season and really saved their season. They made finals, if you believe that or not. They made finals, and that was mostly off the back of Kaz. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, enough glazing. So Lando T comes in on Zapdos and get HP iced. Yeah, this team doesn't really have a whole lot for Zapdos and goes for an SD. A little bit unfortunate, right? So obviously another Hidden Power Ice is coming. Pivots to Infernape. Needs to get that chip. So Overheat, yeah. But as you can see, the Steel type is dead. What does that mean for our Gardevoir? So Flareblast is going to trade here. Now our Gardevoir is going to come in and simplify this end game, right? Traces the Intim on the Lando T. And yeah, you're just going to Mega Evolve. There's no guard against the Hyper Voice. See what I did there? No guard. Yeah, the Crit City season was historic. That was actually crazy. Alright, so Gardevoir picks up one, and then Suicune comes in, and then Goth comes in, but he doubles to Mana Buzz. But now Guard just comes in on this. There's no punish, right? So we're going to get another KO with Hyper Voice, it looks like. It is Roselli Berry, but it still takes so much damage and doesn't really do anything back. Now Zam comes in. Ferrothorn is going to be the switch into Zam here. Probably max Spadef. Yeah, 22%. Goddamn. Yeah, rocks go up. So, yeah, Mana Buzz in before rocks, but knock off into what? Gyro Ball? A Leech Seed, same thing. Alright, now what? Zam has to come in and HP Fire, it looks like. Focus Blast, yeah, same thing. But now Scarf Infernape, U-turn, Adrian U-turn, and now you're going to see Goth trap the Suicune by imprisoning it and having rest. So this Suicune can no longer rest, and it's just gonna get swept by Gothitelle. But you saw how Guard was able to simplify this end game. Basically comes in on a Lando for free, kills something, and then even then, nothing really forces Gardevoir out. He only switched because he wanted to trap the Suicune. Like Loki, Gardevoir could have gotten at least 2 kills here just by staying and clicking Hyper Voice over and over again. Like that's just an example of how Guard like really punishes these like bulky builds. This isn't even that bulky, to be honest. But, like, yeah. Alright, here's another old replay. This is Kaz versus Pesky Skitty. Let's go in the guard perspective. Alright, so Pesky Skitty, definitely one of the names that old heads are going to be familiar with. But anyways, Guard could have killed 6 here with Hyper Voice HP Fire. Yeah, for sure. Anyways, this game, let's see, Lantern lead off into Zapdos. Volt switch on Pharaoh. Now Guard comes in on Shadow Ball. It's a crit and it does 54%. So this is like an example of like a bulkier Gardevoir. So 32 from Shadow Ball gets the drop, but you are able to Wish Protect this off. And if you see like a really fat bulky Guard, what really breaks this? Not a whole lot. And Hyper Voice is still so strong. Like how can it be that strong and that fat? It makes no sense. Here I'm not really sure why Kaz switched here. He could have just Hyper Voiced again, killed something. Maybe he's worried about a speed tie or something, but I don't know. Anyways, a little bit of waffling here with some pivots and stuff. Ferrothorn comes in, dodges multiple Scald Burns because he's the GOAT, rocks up. And now what? We're going to see a Leech Seed, spikes up maybe? Yeah, a Leech Seed. And now what? We see Zapdos coming on Skarmory as the Defog does come out. Is this Defog Rocks? I think it was when I was watching this replay earlier. Anyways, Hydreigon comes in, kind of beats the Lantern, crunches because it's physical Hydreigon, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Right, yeah, it is Rocks. I get the U-turn, and now what? Hydreigon comes in, so it is Scarf Hydreigon. Looks like. Skarmory comes in. It's actually mixed Hydreigon. What's that for? It's for Calm Mind Mew. Yeah. Like Garde is better on the Lantern turn. You just net one. Yeah. I'm not saying these guys played perfectly. It's just kind of an example of Garde. Usually see physical Hydra against the Garde, not with it. Yeah, you see Throat Chop as a way to like counter Hyper Voice. You see that sometimes. Anyways, Lantern does go down. And now what? So this Garde is pretty low, but it can kind of still recover versus... Actually, the Skarm has no attack, so you can use that as free entry points. It only has Toxic, revealed all 4. Gen 6 Throat Chop, sure. Isn't it Gen 6? I swear it is. I'm actually going to double check, but I have to do it on another tab so I don't leak my teams for World Cup this week. Let's see. Hydreigon in Oras. No, it looks like it's a Gen 7 thing. But I remember using it versus a Mega Gardevoir. I guess people still drafted it in Gen 7 for a while. I guess. My bad. My bad. But I have used it before versus a guard, I promise. Anyways. This is just a silly little game. Alright, so we get the Zapdos in on a Defog, and now what? We just Volt Switch, right? Oh, we have Discharge. Whatever. U-turn, right? That's what it has. A lot of waffling here. This is a very, very long game. So rocks go up. Gardevoir takes a lot from return. T-spikes go up, okay. I'm just waiting for this guard to come back in. Like, come on. You could do it. Some more chip. Infernape comes in on Weavile, makes sense. Long game Oras, you sure? Yeah, okay, so the Skarm's dead, Infernape. So now these hazards are up for sure. So guard at 36 can still heal versus the Mew. We saw Shadow Ball doing like really 54 with a crit. You can live that at 36. Here's a Healing Wish, okay. Into what? Mew? So Mew's back. U-turns on this. We're probably just going to... Oh, we go hard to Gardevoir on the Roost. What a beast. And now you can just Wish on this. Or Hyper Voice, you know, either one wins. Because you're able to live the Shadow Ball. Hyper Voice makes sense, right? Just kill this, and then, yeah, there's no way to lose. But yeah, bulky Mega Guard, very epic. And now let's go to the modern years, right? This is 2024. This is my own Gardevoir. This is actually a mock replay, but Gardevoir put in so much work in this game that I really wanted to show it. I know, kind of crazy, but okay. Boof was the MVP of this team, so true. Anyways, lead choice banded Boof, but he has Will-O-Wisp, the Boof. Anyways. Yep. So Surf comes in, Zapdos in, but I'm Sub-Seed. So able to kind of like weaken this a little bit, get my sub up. Yeah, and then I'll Leaf Storm into Empoleon. It's going to chip it. This is the guard counter, but now it has to get chipped because of the Serp. And yeah. So Empoleon basically dead. Now Greninja comes in, but I have Rotom Wash, Max Spadef. This is Life Orb Gren, But now a Volt Switch, and now I think Guard comes out, right? Yeah, Gardevoir comes in. Like, this combination, right? You have the potential of Glare from Superior, you have Volt Switch from Rotom, U-Turn from Crobat. All of this really helps my Guard. Empoleon basically dead? Yep, it is. Anyways, Gardevoir comes in on Zapdos, and I'm able to really punish this thing. Right? There's no Hyper Voice switch in. Sure, a Toxic comes out, but this Hyper Voice is killing something right now. This Mew comes in, but even a bulky Mew is not able to take 2 from this Gardevoir. Go for a Heal Bell, actually. Just to heal off that Toxic. And now just go for a Hyper Voice to KO this Mew. Seismic Toss, not doing a whole lot. Did you just remember this Mach Valley? Yeah, not gonna lie, because like another KO from Guard. Now Gren comes in, but Registeel in, doesn't take anything. Rocks up, no, Toxic on the Donphan. I'm the GOAT. Crobat in, do I defog here? I do defog. Now Zapdos comes in, now a Toxic on, I think a Forced Roost, yeah. Now Rotom in, because I'm max Spadef, I can use this to get another Volt Switch into my Guard, and I'm gonna pick up another KO here. So Mew is going to go down. And now what? Gren has to come back in, but it's fine. I still have that Registeel. Like, this kind of structure I think is really, really strong with Guard. It's just you have some bulky Pokemon, and then eventually you're going to find that Volt Switch into Guard, and you're going to collect. Like, it's really easy to make progress with stuff like this. And then, yeah. Here I Life Orb stall a little bit. Hydro Pump kills. But yeah, now Brave Bird, I don't have to really do anything. Sure, the static, but Buffalon comes in on this because I heal build, right? And Buffalon can claim one here because it's Choice Band. Gren gets Life Orb and then Guard picks up another. Like, just an example of Volt turn into Guard. Yeah. And then here's another game of my own against Dougal. This was in... Was this in DPL? I think this was DPL, right? DPL season 8? Is it DPL season 8? I'm trying to remember if this was DPL or DCL. Let's see, May 2024. Yeah, so this is DPL season 8. Yeah. This one is a real game, yeah. Yeah, you remember mocking this? Yeah. So basically, this Gardevoir is, I think, Will-O-Wisp to catch the Metagross, and then Hyper Voice just farms the rest of the team, right? So with just that combination, I'm able to cover everything, which is really nice. And I think, was this like Wish Protect or something like that? I think it might have been Wish Protect. Very bulky to take a Chomp hit and kill back. Or was this, no, I think I'm thinking of another one. But anyways, the same structure, right? Glare, T-Wave, Slow Volt, Registeel to get up rocks, and T-Wave. Like, basically spread T-Wave with these three, and then just profit with Guard. That's kind of the structure of this. But yeah. So lead Drapion into my Rotom Wash. It is Balloon, but my Rotom is able to just Hydro Pump this, right? No, go for a Volt Switch. And from that damage, I see that it's actually very bulky. I'm thinking my Guard might be able to outspeed and prevent T-Spikes, but he is creeping that. Yeah, my Guard would have lived any hit, and I really didn't want T-Spikes up if I could help it, so just killing that thing, very nice. Now Crobat comes in because he went Metagross. He's forced to go Metagross. Nothing else beats Guard. But here I'm Rocky Helmet, bulky Crobat with Defog. He does get the raise immediately, so I'm not able to fish for more Rocky Helmet chip with Roost and stuff like that. But yeah, unlucky. This monster is needlessly oppressive. Draft a Steel capable of handling Guard no matter what. We still see it muscle past them. Why bother keeping it around? Is that beneficial to the meta? Well, it's kind of like Oras has been around for so many years. Guard is good, but I'll be honest. A lot of times, you do just see it trade 1-for-1 or 1-for-2. The main thing that it does is it forces your opponent to not bring like fat teams because it will farm fat teams. But versus the more offensive style that people tend to build in Oras these days, it's actually a little bit less good than it used to be. Like for example, Lando T has better results in the past few years than Mega Guard, even though both are great. That's just a result of people building more offensive teams and teams that can handle Mega Gardevoir in a more offensive way. We've actually seen Gardevoir dropped at mids. Yeah, we did see that in DCL 1. I think they dropped it for a Mega Metacham, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they dropped it right at the last second of mid-season, so no one else could pick it up. So they didn't want to play against it, but they also didn't think it fit their team for whatever reason. Probably a mistake, right? Mega Gardevoir is like top 1, maybe top 2 on a bad day in the meta still. But yeah, there's a reason why it's not banned, is, you know, there are ways to check it offensively. Anyways, Metagross does get some chip here, but like knockoff here, pretty free value. I think this is Scarf Crook, is it? Yeah, it is Scarf Crook. Takes a lot of chip on this Garchomp. Now it knocks off the Life Orb, so I actually live the Dragon Claw on 1. So it's actually a trade for the ground types. And that was one thing faster than Gardevoir. So now there's only Lucario and Rotom Wash and Arrow. Arrow can't one-shot guard from full, so I'm just going to go guard. But I actually don't need to take chip on this. I can go Registeel on the Stone Edge. Because if I take a Stone Edge, I'm putting myself in E-Speed range, right? And I need my Gardevoir to handle that if it does get an SD off. Because my other Pokemon don't really handle like Life Orb Lucario very well. But my Gardevoir is like bulky enough to live 1 from full. Even after Rocks, I EV'd for that specifically. Anyways, Earthquake, a little bit of chip. Now, I know the full set, so I know there's no Roost or anything. Now here, I go for a T-Wig because I think Taunt is unlikely. He goes hard Lucario, which is Lumberry. And another T-Wig comes out as the SDs. So this is a little bit scary, right? I put my Rocks up. This was a mistake in hindsight, but I really wanted that Aerodactyl to be dead sooner rather than later. But anyways, I thought this pump would kill at -1, but it actually doesn't. Free Rocks, yep. I thought this would kill at -1, but alas, my Rotom dies, and now something's going to have to take this. My Serp is Scarf. I want it for the Aerodactyl, so I can't really go Serp and risk that. So I go Gardevoir. It always lives in E-Speed, even a Bullet Punch from this range, but he gets parried, so you don't actually end up seeing it. Now Aerodactyl comes in, I live any hit from full, Stone Edge misses, okay. And then, you know, beats the Rotom, Protect in case Cuss Stab, but yeah. Zygarde picks up a lot of kills here. A little bit lucky, right, full parry into miss, but you see it would have lived anyways from the bulk that I have, and then Hyper Voice is just so strong. My goat Lucario doing work, yep. Yeah. Then a few more examples here. This is Aberforth, my teammate, against also my teammate. This is a mock replay as well. This was the best example of like a bulky Gardevoir that I could find. Because people do not really be running Wisp enough. But trust me, this is a great replay to show. There's a Pawniard. Anyways, Nidoking, Klefki, Switch, Shrew, as T-Spikes go up. But there's a Skuntank to absorb them. All good. A little bit of a trade here. Not much of a trade. That thing just freaking died. Alright, so Gardevoir comes in, and she's not switching out for a while, you know? So Wisp, double Wisp here. Great play from Abe. Guard is only good in testing. Somewhat, yeah. People do tend to bring text for it a little bit more. Anyways, Wish, Hyper Voice, Will-O-Wisp. Like, this is something that you look at this team, a lot of the threats are physical, so it's actually a male Gardevoir, which you said she. Yeah. Don't mind me. But yeah, Protect into Wisp, you know, getting that, like, you're doing that 12% with Protect, it's now 25% between turns. Did the Willow accuracy buff come in Gen 6 or Gen 7? It came in Gen 6, so this gen is accurate Will-O-Wisp, but it also still does 12%, so it's like the most powerful Will-O-Wisp has ever been. Why is Mega Guard's win rate average? It's above average, 60% over like probably 50 games at this point. It's actually impressive, right? Consistency like that, it's not really common. Anyways, Wisps the Skuntank, Poison Jab does 31%. Like, this is just fat guard. Then Protect for even more burn chip. Now here, do we switch out fearing poison? Yeah, we don't want to get poison on that if we can help it. And now Latias comes in to get the defog off. So this Klefki is now completely neutralized. Now Jellicent comes in, but Pawniard, the great switch into that. Toxics it. And get rocks up. Yeah, God Pawniard. I like how it's the only nicknamed Pokemon. Anyways, Latios comes in, Ice Beams the Garchomp. Don't think that crit mattered, but yeah. We get the guard back in. Guard's back in, let's go. So protects on the Leaf Storm, stalls that out. A Glare here is a little bit silly, but Hyper Voice still does so much damage. So here, able to take the Leaf Storm, kill back. Did you guys lose the real game? We did. Yeah, and the reason for that is because I think Abe like super misplayed his Pawniard, which is unlucky. Unlucky, but oh well. Like you saw a guard kind of like sat in the mid game forever, kind of chipped everything. I don't know, this is just the best example of bulky guard that I could find. Went through quite a few replays, and a lot of people are just trading it 1-for-1, which is not great for a video, you know? Like, I am kind of cherry picking these replays, right? Guard is not really ban-worthy. There's a lot of replays where guard is just there to take a hit from the big threat and hyper voice it back. Like, you take 70%, you kill it back, and then everything revenges you. That's a really common thing with Gardevoir. And then here we have, this is from the Hoenn Classic. This is OG Albina versus J-Scurf, notably a top 5 player. It does force a lot of prep, yes. Guard is not the best fairy, just saying. Think Clefable? You think Clefable's better? Alright, anyways. So this team, let's look. It's a little bit, Clefable is Himothy. Yeah, you're a silly little guy, aren't you? Explain why I caught John W's team in DPL Season 4 Oras teams with Mega Guard spam. It was terrible. We can look at that real quick. I wouldn't mind doing that. Let's open my DPL Season 4. Okay. Looks like the sprites are not going to load, but we can look at Young Goater's W. They drafted multiple Mega Guards. Okay, there's the sprites. This is an old doc, so they're not great looking. But anyways, what was wrong with these guard drafts? So you see like Gardevoir plus Weavile, Gardevoir plus Gren, so good dark types to pair with it, good speed control. You see spikes from Skarm. But this team, where's the momentum, right? Your way to get Gardevoir in safely is like nothing really. So like Gardevoir's not going to get a whole lot of turns with a team like this. That's why you see the more successful structures are things like Mega Gardevoir plus fast T-Wave user. So that's going to be Thundy Eye or Superior. And then you're going to see stuff like Mega, or not Mega, Rotom Wash, right? Some like momentum generators. And then Uxie. We see Uxie plus Thundy Eye a lot as like a top 3. And then we also see Serp plus Rotom Wash. Those are the two main structures. There's no T-Wave spam outside of like Stunfisk, like fishing for static and stuff like that. But Stunfisk allows in ground types a little bit too easily, right? So you're never really spreading too much para with that. The Logipe Mega Guard special, yeah. Uxie, Thundy, Zygarde, yeah, very common. Just from him. He spams that, and he wins a lot. They drafted a Jolteon Vaporeon core. Beast mode. Now let's see, this one. It's kind of like the... Like, you know the Mega Gallade structure people spammed? The Zapdos, Gren, Nidoking, and then Bronzong. Like, I swear, we saw this, like, exact top 4, but with a Mega Gallade. Why does this one not work so well? Did this one? I don't actually know the record of this one, but this one seems a little bit more reasonable. But anyways, if you look at, as a whole, these 3 teams, people are just going to bring their best steel types. In a format like this, where you see the opponent's 3 drafts and then you figure out which ones you want to actually bring, people are just going to bring their guard, their team that's best into guard, if you're doubling up like this. And then Kyurem Black as well doesn't really beat steals like that. So maybe something in this slot that actually beats the things that beat guard. Something like, I don't know, like a Mega Medi. Something that really beats those steel types. Mega Gallade was not really common back in this day. But yeah, is guard mag ever a thing? I've seen it like one time, I think. Or maybe I didn't. But like the idea is there, right? You trap the steel, but they can just run Shed Shell, you know? It gets rid of like an Assault Vest or like a Lumberry to cover like Hyper Voice or Will-O-Wisp. So I can kind of see it. I see the vision why, but the thing is like Magnezone is not really too common. And when it is drafted, it's usually with stuff like Mega Beedrill. Stuff like we really need those steel types to be gone. Mega Guard can kind of tech for them either way. Anyways, back to this game. Alright, so we see a guard versus kind of a slower team, right? The only things faster are the Torn and the Azelf. And then there's like Florges. Yeah, Florges is going to allow in that Gardevoir more often than not. Stuff like Blastoise. So you can kind of come in on that. Anyways, let's see the battle. Guard beats all the steals. Mag would want to trap like Skarm. Yeah. Let's move this back over. Yeah, a lot of steals can just pack EQ, and they're not really too scared of T-Bolt. The only thing is like Ferrothorn, right? Ferrothorn used to be a lot more common, and now it's not. Anyways, so I saw a guard come in. Yeah, U-turn on the Blastoise, now Gardevoir is just going to come in and claim one with Hyper Voice. Right, the only thing stopping it is like a Scarf Nidoking, or like Pyapa Berry, something like that. But even then, Hyper Voice is doing 45%. This is not super sustainable. Now Shadow Ball comes up, but it's AV Conk. Like, you just punch the thing that punishes the guard. And now what? Ice Punch in the Florges. Now Wish on Poison Jab. Very cool. And now what? Oh, a Poison. Nice. But now what? Scizor just comes in, or Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, you can just come in on this. You're not really scared of Florges. Now with Psyshock, the Nidoking can't even come in. So, yeah, you just Psyshock here. And it's freaking dead. Yeah. Now Scizor comes in on an Iron Tail, right? Life Orb Azelf, by the way. And now what? You just oh, doubles to guard. Beast. Oh my god. Gets another KO with this. You're gonna take a Toxic, but you're perfectly fine with that, right? Now Florges is gonna come in. Do you Psyshock? Your ass. Even then, right? Protect, I mean, doesn't matter. Trades with the Florges some HP. And now what? Azelf comes in, but you can still switch in the Scizor, sack it off. Rocks go up, but now what? You just Bullet Punch? Yeah. Gets the Helmet KO, which is nice, but now Crook is going to come in. And Scarf Crook, I know Owen loves Scarf Crook, and it looks like it might just win here. Medi is able to live from full, it seems. So it goes Noivern on this. On the Drain Punch, we see a Rocky Helmet, that's going to do it. Yeah. Now, next time that Crook gets an attack boost from Moxie, game ends, I think. Yeah, Azelf comes in, misses Air Slash because he's the GOAT. But yeah, Crook's going to clean this up. Yeah, you saw Mega Gardevoir come in, really open that up in the early game. Like, you saw it, like, for a wall breaker, Mega Gardevoir did its job really well here. And Owen played it well, so yeah, I can't complain too much. Now, these are like the normal guard replays. I have a few. I have 3 replays where it's actually used as a win condition. And that is going to be with Trick Room. So this is versus another team that looks very similar, right, to the Dougal team. That's because it's the same team. It's actually a repeat matchup in playoffs. I believe this was semifinals, was it? Or was it grand finals? No, this was semis. This was semis. And I remember I played this in a parking lot in Los Angeles. Shout out to Los Angeles right now, by the way. But anyways, I was playing in my car in front of a Korean barbecue place so that we could go in after. And I was on mobile because we were at the LA regional at the time. And so I was playing on mobile, and that'll be foreshadowing. But anyways, Rotom Wash, this is Specs Rotom Wash because there's not a whole lot of good Hydro resists. Volt Switch reveals Spit F Rotom. I go Guard because I don't really want anything else to get burned, and I kept Synchronize on this, so if he burns me, he burns his own Rotom. This was played before the big Korean barbecue dinner? Yeah, like literally right before. Calm Mind, Snore, Rest Talk, Mega Guard. Season 2 DPL, the real win con Mega. That is insane. Anyways, Guard versus Arrow. I just go max Fizdef Crook. I believe we trade rocks here. Yeah, Aqua Tail not quite a 2-hit KO on my Crook. And with leftovers, I'm able to get a little bit back. Now Rotom Wash, thanks to the Intim, is able to come in. Aqua Tail misses, would not have done too much. But now Rotom comes in, I'm just going to click Hydro Pump, it's a free KO. And yeah, assuming I hit, which I do. Now Drapion comes in, I'm just going to Hydro Pump again. And yeah, takes us down low. T-Spike does go up, but I should be able to defog these somewhat comfortably, right? Aerodactyl comes in because he wants to go to something that does not allow the defog right away, which makes sense, but he crits me with Rotom, which did matter. My Rotom has like a very, very high chance to live. Like I think 60 was a max roll. If I remember, I had a lot of bulk on this thing. But I did dodge an Aqua Tail earlier, which would have put me in range. So, yeah, whatever. Now Bouffalant comes in with a poison. I am able to click a Facade. I believe this was Custap, but not quite in Custap range, unfortunately. Or was this Chople? I might have changed it to Chople. But either way, Serp comes in. I am Scarf Superior, so I'm able to just Leaf Storm here. Except it's actually Leaf Blade, which I found out after I clicked it. So, shout out to Mobile. I guess I just replaced Leaf Storm with Leaf Blade, even though I did Mox like so many times with Leaf Storm. I guess it just changed it on me. I don't know what happened. Like I was doing Mox literally half an hour before the game started, and I had Leaf Storm in there. So I don't know what happened, but hey, he switched, so all is well. That was like so sad. I was actually gonna be really mad if I lost this game. But anyways, Meteor Mash gets the insta raise once again, but I am able to defog these T-Spikes away, which is a really big deal. Get some more helmet chip, but it is leftover, so it's not that much chip. But anyways, my Crook is able to come in. Do I just oh, I have Foul Play. Yeah, goat. Anyways, now all I have to do is really worry about Lucario, and then I just Trick Room with my guard. As you can see, like Aerodactyl and Garchomp, from his POV, the two of them should be able to kill Gardevoir between the two of them. But here, I glare the Lucario, go hard on my Crocodile, get the Intim on the SD. What a beast. Yeah, and then full para, but that was like an E-speed. That wouldn't have done anything to my Fizdef Crook. Now he sacks that, and now Aerodactyl comes in. I sack my Serp here just to get another Intim on it, and here I'm just going to set up rocks. Now the play here, I'm just going to set rocks again because I want this Aerodactyl in front of me. I don't want the Garchomp in front of me as he misses multiple Aqua Tails. So the idea is, I look at his set, right? Aqua Tail, Stone Edge, he needs a move for Registeel, so it's probably going to be Earthquake last. I'm running with that assumption. Yeah, he was pissed. But anyways, I'm pretty sure it's Earthquake last, which means there's no taunt. Gardevoir can Trick Room on this, and then Hyper Voice, Hyper Voice. I can't really cover for Roselli Berry anymore. But yeah, that's my game plan. Sack my Crook to this, and then now Gardevoir able to Trick Room up and sweep this endgame. So shout out to Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, I have a few more replays that are very similar. This is going to be Aberforth versus Blitz, and it's going to be the same idea, right? Early game here, we're more so relying on, you know, Latias and Swallow to do most of the lifting here. Nidoking as well is Life Orb, sub as well, so able to trade with the Cobalion at least. And then now Thunders comes in, it is Life Orb, so we're just gonna get Rocks up here, I guess. Yeah, Rocks up, and now Scarf Latias is gonna pivot in on the next Thunderbolt. Yeah, and then now Draco, as you can see, there's no really great Draco resist, so this is gonna do a lot of damage. Mew comes in, but now on the rest, we go Hard Swallow. And it's going to be a big Facade. Allows Draco to follow up. Trevenant comes in. Rotom Wash the switch into Trevenant. Goat. Foul plays for big chip. And then Woodhammer is going to trade the Rotom for the Trev. Now Latias is going to Healing Wish on the Protect. Get our Cobalion back. And now what? Charizard comes in on the Cobalion Stone Edge. Goat. There's no Stone Edge resist anymore. And then, yeah. Thundurus has to trade with the Cobalion, but we Volt Switch. And then versus this Thundurus, we're able to Trick Room, right? Because otherwise, this Scolipede is looking in a prime position to win. Like, it just wins. Poison Jab and Earthquake. So he actually had to be this set, and he had to make this play. So T-Bolt crits into the Trick Room, but now Prankster T-Wave, and as long as we don't get parried here, able to sweep with Trick Room Guard. He gets a double protect, but a triple protect, not going to happen, and Psyshock is able to clean this game. Yeah, you choked this? Yeah. I mean, oh well, what are you going to do? And then here's our third Trick Room Gardevoir endgame. This is going to be Darkrai, Professor Shuckle versus Rob Jr. We're going to see Mesprit, Iron Tail, and freaking Die to Crunch. W. And then Chomp takes a Ice Punch with Yachi. So really big value out of this lead T-Tar. Goes for a Dragon Claw, predicting like a Tangela to come in, or like a Crobat on the EQ. Not exactly going to be the case, so T-Tar immediately trades 2 for 1. Right now, Klefki switches an Iron Ball onto the Rotom Wash, which would have been nice for the Earthquake Garchomp, but here not really too impactful. Drill comes in, Zapdos going to be the answer, but rocks go up. It is static, so it can't be Defog. Now Toxic, and it is actually bulky Drill, it looks like. Takes 46 from Heat Wave. Back when T-Tar was good. Yeah, back in my day. Nice Serp here. Crobat going to be switching to Serp. Makes sense. Sludge Bomb on the Hidden Power. And now Heat Waves into the Klefki switch. So it doesn't want to get T-Waved here. Just goes hard into the Rotom Wash, gives it back its Scarf, which I wanted in the first place, I guess. Yeah. Now Guard comes in because there is no trick here. And yeah, it takes a T-Wave, but we're Trick Room, so that doesn't really matter. Right, you see Trick Room here, Hyper Voice, and everything's kind of in range of Hyper Voice. Yeah, Zapdos comes in, but Hyper Voice is going to do 70 to that thing, because you can run Max Modest on a set like this. And it's just so strong, right? Like, Serperior would have died, and then Gyarados, which is Mega Gyarados. I mean, Hyper Voice, it might do 75 to base form. Like, I don't know. It might just do that, but either way, progress has been made. And that's all the replays I have for Mega Gardevoir here. One thing we could do is look at some of these structures that people tend to draft with Mega Gardevoir in more modern times, right? Let's see, look at the drafts page. We're going to go to Oras. So where's the Mega Guards here? We see one here. This is like the famous low QP build, pretty much word for word. You have Mega Gardevoir, Thundee, Uxie. Now these three have been drafted together for many years now, and always successful. They always do well, which is nice. So the reason this works is there's multiple T-Wave users, which really slows things down for the Gardevoir. You're able to revenge kill things. Yeah, it's the exact same team, DPL and DCL. Yeah, I think the Sneasel might be different. Sneasel Conk, I think, might have been a new thing. But for sure, these three, the Skarm, the Tentacruel, the Zygarde, I remember all these from DPL. Oh, it's actually the exact 8. Alright. Yeah, he knows what he likes. But yeah, you can see 3-0. I think he went 3-0 in the other thing as well, or like really good record, right? Thoughts on Boa saying that his ideal match or ideal meal is salted white rice, 2% milk and carrot and cake with no icing and filling. To each their own. That's all I gotta say. To each their own. I mean, salted rice is good. I'm not gonna lie. Let bro carve up. Yup. Anyways, you have your spin support, so you're not getting spike stacked too hard. You have spikes of your own. You have like a really great ground checks, right? Between Uxie, Thundee, and Skarm. Opposing ground types are not that big of a deal, which is really great when the format is dominated by Garchomp, Lando T, Lando I, stuff like that. Like, this team is really well prepped for that sort of thing. And then, yeah. So, between Skarm and Tentacruel and Uxie, you're usually going to have a hazard advantage in the matchup, and then Gardevoir, you're always going to have a breaker advantage. So, this team just works, I think. Thundy for some speed control. It's a great fast Pokemon in Oras. Just a great Pokemon on its own, right? T-Bolt, HP Ice, Nasty Plot. It just does a lot of work in general. Do you think Oras Tenta is OP? I think it's probably... Yeah, it's just a decent role player in Oras, right? The spin is useful, but outside of that, it doesn't really check too much by itself. It like checks Gren pretty well. That's the only thing that's like top tier that it really checks. It can like low-key trade into guard with a speed tie, kind of. You enjoy her role playing? What are we talking about here, Virgie? What is it in the context of society in Oras? Well, in Oras, it's not really everything wrong with society. It's more so when people are drafting at round 3 in SV, that's when it becomes everything wrong with society. Peak Tentas in Oras, yeah, exactly. This is its best gen by far. You get the burn boost, like the 12% burn on Scald. And then, what else? You have Spin, which is so rare in Oras. I can't emphasize how bad the hazard control is in Oras. It's like really poverty. Anyways, this is a good example of a team structure that works. The Dreamwalkers have this team, which is like Mega Guard Sand. This kind of goes with like the Rotom Wash idea, which is pretty similar. Yeah, there's actually not that many grounded poisons in Oras. Yeah, T-Spikes are also the best they ever are, you know, in Oras. Yeah. But anyways, this team, it's kind of loosely based on the what's it? The Season 7 team from DPL. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's the team that I used. Where's the drafts page? Here it is. Right, was it this gen? This season? No, it was DCL1 that I used it. Okay, I'm getting it mixed up. Anyways, it's right here. So as you can see here, we have Mega Gardevoir, Rotom Wash, and then the Sand Core. I think that this version is probably a little bit better. And the reason for that is Quillfish and Thundy Eye, right? We already showed why Gardevoir plus Thundy Eye is a good combination. Then Rotom Wash, it's double electric, sure, but they don't share any weaknesses, so it doesn't matter. They're actually both off the ground, so ground types are covered pretty well by this. And then you have your Sand Core with like a Tangela, Quillfish, like some bulky, cheap Pokemon. Thought it was because of the Monferno. Yeah, but anyways, this version I think had a winning record, but this one did not, obviously 1 and 3. The reason I think is there's just not enough like T-Wave spam, right? You want to support your guard with T-Wave as much as possible. Pivots, like Rotom Wash, I guess, can. It might just be a little bit unlucky going 1 and 3. Like the draft doesn't look that bad. But yeah. It's pretty similar to that team. So like, yeah. We have the best T-Waver in T-Tar on the team. Are we really Brazilian out here? Anyways, this is like the other version, right? The Rotom Wash Superior, and then fillers, basically. This one, I think, is probably my favorite of the guard structures. Just Serp and Rotom Wash, and then strong ground type. Sometimes you'll see Crook here. I think Crook is a little bit better, honestly, but I think in this draft, Crook was taken, so he went Nidoking. I believe so, anyways. I might be getting that wrong. But either way. You have Healing Wish here, Swellow as a physical breaker, Pawniard because it's the GOAT. Anyways. And then Season 8, what are the guard structures here? So actually I can go to the drafts page, or draft records. Now you see this? This is a nice tab that I added to the doc this season. We can kind of see what are the more highly performing Mons in like a visual way, right? Let me just blow it up a little bit, make it easier to see. Let's put it there, whatever. Anyways, as you can see, like this draft, I think this is my favorite of the guard structures, right? And this was like really helped out by the fact that we got round 5 Rotom Wash, which is not exactly realistic, right? But it was there. So we're like, hey, I'll draft that. Draft Records was a good addition because I love copying teams exactly. Why reinvent the wheel when the wheel is right here? Serp is good in Oras. Let's go. Yeah, this is an amazing Serp generation. Sun and Moon as well. You see Serp here, 4 and 1, 1 and 6. But this was the Legion of Boom. They did not do so well overall. But yeah, this season for some reason you saw a lot of like Lano-T / Garchomp plus superior builds. You see one right here with like Rotom Wash, Metagross. I'm not really sure how good it is, right, from results wise. We saw one of them do really well. Then we saw a lot of them do really poorly. But anyways, as you can see, like Lando I, this was like the debut season for Lando I in DPL. You almost had that in Usum, if only. Yeah, but you see Lando I, top of the format, and then Gardevoir right there with it. So both of the Gardevoir teams went really positive. You can see the two structures, right? Exactly. This low QP build. Low QP was on Trick of Eye this season, and like we said, this team is just, it works. It has everything you want for a Gardevoir team. And then I think Zygarde is like honestly underrated in Oras. I think low QP has really showcased that mon. Not realistic. On one Oras draft, I got Clefable, Lano-T. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, right? Clefable and Lano-T, that's something that is actually not that insane, to be honest. Clefable has been like falling recently to like round 2 picks. It used to be like a round 1 always. Like even here, you see round 1 Clefable here, but in this draft over here, it fell to round 4. So you see like sometimes Clef goes round 1, sometimes it falls. It's kind of one of those mons. But yeah. Yeah, I think this one is like my favorite. Just Bouffalant, Registeel, and then like these 3 Pokemon in general form such a nice defensive core. The only thing I really didn't like about this team was the T-Spike weakness, which it's a Crobat team, you kind of have to live with that. Yeah. Is Zygarde mainly glaring it up in Oras? He's mostly been using it as like either a mixed attacker with Draco EQ E-Speed, or a DD sweeper with like Citrus Berry, or like the Glare, yeah, Glare Coil kind of thing. Yeah, you kind of see that. DD and choice items, yeah. I think I did see Life Orb a few times, yeah, and Scarf. So Scarf EQ, good for the same reasons as like Lando. Scarf EQ is good, although it's a little bit weaker. Doesn't have U-turn. Like, obviously it's not as good. Outrage is one of the best offensive moves in Oras. Yeah, Outrage EQ, you can function as like a mini Garchomp in that way. Just running Scarf. Life Orb on the mix variant, yeah. Core Enforcer, no, not like that. Dude, I swear people use Core Enforcer way too much. Like, they see it as it's a cool move or whatever, so they just want to use it so bad. It's just a bad move. People don't use it. Run Draco if you're going to run Dragon move. Yeah, Draco, HP Ice, EQ Outrage, Life Orb. Yeah, throw E-Speed in there as well. It's a good mixed attacker. It's just so bulky, you know? Anyways, what are some other guard structures we can look at? Let's see. This one here, this is like the other one that was really, really big, is the Heatran Skarm, the double steel with the Thundy Eye. This was so common. Like, we saw this for many, many seasons in a row. This exact top 4. Back in my day, Mega Guard was paired with Heatran a lot. Yeah, exactly this. Like, these top 4, I mean, I think Uxie is a little bit better in the Heatran slot, as has been proven by low QP over the years. But this team is also really, really solid. The thing is, you have stuff like Terrakion and Heatran to really punish the steel types that really want to come in on Mega Guard. And what are you going to do? Not run a bulky steel type? I mean, either way, you're going to have something. So maybe it is better than Uxie. I don't know. I think they're just both good, you know? I think they're both good. Then Seismitoad, just fit a bunch of utility on there. Good resist to a bunch of stuff. I think Terrak on this really makes it work. I really like Terrak on this build. Then God Poniard, of course. But yeah, really cool team here. And then we can go back to Season 6. What are some drafts here? We see this one with like kind of some Volt Turn, bulky core like the Registeel, the Zapdos, the Crobat. This one doesn't look quite as good. I wouldn't exactly copy this one if you're looking for a guard draft like this, right? Same concept as before. The Guard, the Thundy, the Uxie. This time you are able to fit in Infernape, which kind of serves a similar purpose to the Terrakion in that other build, right? The Steel Punisher. And Infernape is like really, really good in Oras. I can't lie. This thing's great. Then this one, the other guard draft, I think this one is a little bit less good, right? Round 2 Mienshao has not aged well. Yeah, there was a period in time where people were like super highly rating Mienshao, and it just has not stood the test of time, I will say. Anyways, that's all the Season 6, and before that, we're starting to get like several years ago. I think the main ones that you want to like really look at building around are going to be these ones, right? The ones that we see in DPL Season 8. Like, these are the most successful guard structures, I think. So if you're able to get something similar to this in the Oras Cup, I think you'll probably do pretty well. Yeah, Dugtrio Scizor on my Cash Gang Mega Guard team. Yeah, I do actually think Dugtrio is really cool in something like Sun and Moon. I think in Oras, with only 80 base attack, is a lot more limited. But I really enjoy like stuff like Mega Pidgeot plus Dugtrio. That was one of my favorite Sun and Moon teams that I've ever drafted. It was really cool. I can't even lie. But anyways, I think that's all for Gardevoir. If we want, we can start looking at some other replays from Oras or just in general. Anyone have any questions about Oras, right? This is kind of like the stream about Oras. The Oras Cup's coming up. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. we'll answer. But in the meantime, let's look at some what I want to do is look at Season 6 Lando T. I think it was, right? Yeah, this was the season where Rob Jr. had, and Ace Trainer Josh had Lando T. And they really popped off with it. Let's see. Yeah, Rob Jr. and Ace Trainer Josh, they had really good records with Lando T, and I think the teams in Season 6 with Lando T were really cool. Let me pull up the drafts here. Anyways, I guess I gotta pull this back over anyways. I was just looking around to see how I can improve my skills all around. Cool. Do you like Dragonite or Mence more in Oras? Let's see. That's interesting, because I don't think either are really fantastic. I think I would prefer to have Dragonite just for the E-speed. I really value priority like that. But Mence is also a good Pokemon. Any fraud mons I should be aware of? Mienshao. That thing was so overrated for so long. Wait, let's look at the draft board here. What are some fraud mons that I would personally stay away from? Let's see. All the top tier mons are pretty good. I think Diancie can be a little bit hard to use, but of course it's still a good Pokemon. Let's see. I don't know, all these Pokemon are like super good and usable, you know? Oras, the tiers are like actually good, I think. In terms of like the quality of the tiers, I think Oras does it the best. Like, all these mons feel good for the price, you know? Which is something that not every draft board can boast. Instead of fraud mons, teams that are grounded weak to spikes and rely on being fat with recovery struggle. Yeah, you can't be too passive in Oras, especially if you're lacking good removal for spikes. You don't want to get farmed by a spike stack build. What else here? Oh, Togekiss is a really great Pokemon for the price. I think if you can draft Togekiss and it fits on your team, definitely like draft this guy. I think 13 points for Togekiss. This thing has been consistently a really high performer in terms of win rate, and then just the eye test, right? Kieran Black is the biggest fraud in Oras. Disagree. We can agree to disagree. I think he's really, really good. Maybe not really, really good, but I think he's definitely solid. Especially for 16 points. I'd draft it. Yeah, Togekiss was insane for all of DCL teams. Yeah, exactly. Maybe something like Hoopa I would stay away from, right? Hoopa, Mamoswine, these are kind of like outdated mons, right? This like slow breaker kind of thing. You don't really need that in today's Oras. You can go for something a little bit faster, maybe a little bit less raw power, but still gets the job done. Like looking at something like, what's a good example? Like Infernape, good breaker. What else? I guess for the price, they're not too bad. Like, if you want something like that, get Diggersby for a little bit cheaper, you know? Anything 13 or above feels correctly priced, just preference from there. Yeah, I think it's really good tiers. Let's see. I think Uxie should be higher, to be honest. I think people didn't vote with me on that one when I suggested it. I think Uxie could very easily be 12 points here. What round is best round to get a Mega? Depends on what you want, right? If you want one of the top threats, like the Mega Guard, the Mega Gallade, those are the two that tend to go round 1. Anything past that, it's really depends on the draft pool. How important is having strong priority? It's team dependent, right? Some teams you don't really need that priority if you have really great Scarfers, but sometimes you do need that priority. I think Lopunny with Fake Out Quick Attack is one of its best sets, just being able to revenge kill pretty much anything in the format. I think Scizor is really great. I love Scizor, love using it. And in Oras, stuff like offensive Life Orb Scizor, we've seen really good success from in the past. So like, there are good Pokemon with priority, but I don't think you necessarily need to go out of your way to get priority like you maybe would in SV. Like SV is just such a strong meta with so many fast, strong things that you really do need that priority to keep things in check, like Ashgren, like Battle Bond, you know what I mean? The booster energy stuff. It's just a lot to handle with just traditional Scarfers. People hate on Mega Sizz a lot, but actually enjoyed using it in my Oras Cup run. Yeah, I think Mega Scizor is overhated at the moment. I think it's still worth 17 points. It's just you do kind of need to be careful drafting around it because there's a lot of bad Mega Scizor drafts out there. Thoughts on Sizz versus Mega Sizz? I think they're both good. We actually drafted a Mega Scizor team in DCL2. Let me show off that one real quick. Yeah, right here. We actually drafted Scizor and Mega Scizor. So, like Scizor, Mega Gallade, Greninja. This team was my favorite one out of all the Oras teams that we drafted, but this one was really cool as well. This is actually double steel, technically triple steel with a Pawniard, but Heatran Mega Scizor I think is a really, really strong combination because you're not putting everything on your Heatran to resist all the things that a steel type should, which is where Heatran tends to struggle. I think Heatran should only be drafted in double steel setups. But here, you have that Mega Scizor, Flash Fire for the HP Fire. This team really forces a lot of coverage moves, which is a nice thing about it. It's really annoying to build for, which I learned by mocking it a lot of times throughout the season. But yeah, like Mega Scizor, Heatran, you have your really strong breaker with Lando I, Latios. You have like Stunfisk for rocks and stuff like that, utility. Then Azu for like multiple priorities. You know, there's some good synergies here. Let's see. Thoughts on Torn T and Oras? Not really sure what roles it's good at or how you're supposed to use it in Oras. I think Torn really struggles in Oras for the most part. I think we've seen a few successful drafts with like Torn T Mega Gallade. But outside of that, Torn has not been a very strong performer. Like if you look at the DPL stuff, which is a little bit easier to see. Let's see, where's the Torn drafts? Torn 1 and 4. Like this is exactly the team that I don't think is good for Torn. Like that people spam this all the time. The Torn, the Hydreigon, the like kind of bulky-ish water type, and then like spikes. Usually there's like a Mienshao on these kinds of teams, and I just don't think it's that good. Then here, this one went even. Yeah, another Hydreigon spikes thing, but this one has a Mega Gallade, so it's like a little bit more forgivable, right? Torn Zard is good? You think so? Why? I don't know why that over something else. Let's see, what are the Torn builds here? Where's Torn? Yeah, Torn Clef, like some fat garbage. 0-2. Yeah, Torn Sand. This one was really ugly. This one is so ugly. And then, yeah, this one's -2. Like, we just don't see a lot of successful Torn drafts. I would probably stay away from that, actually. Have we seen like a successful Torn draft in the past few years? Like, man. Torn Zard Washtum. I can see that, yeah. That team felt shiced in prep and everything and didn't go so well in the games. Sometimes that does happen, yeah. You're talking about this one, right? The thing is, like, round 3 Tentacruel, we're starting to get wrong with Society again. You prove a lot of 16 over Torn. Yeah, maybe looking at it, maybe Torn is like the odd man out here on this draft board. Maybe this could lower to 16 in the future. I might do that for the DPL Season 9. We're just going to come up in a few months. Maybe a month or two. Yeah. Maybe that's like the only thing. So we got J-Scurv 2024 Oras Rocky Helmet Incident. Oh yeah, shout out to that guy. Alright. What else were people saying? Oh, clipping Hacker because he said you would lose in pools with Mega Scizor and Infernape and you won 11 games in a row. Yeah, Mega Scizor's overhated. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Let's see. Heatran Double Steel or Heatran Rotom Heat in gens with boots, so like double fire. I could see that. Yeah. Just joined, but could you quickly go through the top 8 or so Mons and what you try to pair them with? Like Mega Guard, I've seen Thundy Eye and Serp a lot for speed and paralysis. Yeah, exactly right. So we went over a lot of the Gardevoir structures. I'll bring this up because it's the easiest to visualize. But these are some successful Oras structures, right? Over here. There's like this Lando Eye Greninja kind of thing. Lando Eye plus Latios, Infernape. Like some just like strong Pokemon up front, and then like some bulky stuff in the back, like Clefable, Jirachi, Cresselia, Empoleon, even Mega Altaria, stuff like that. So like have a defensive backbone, pair it with some like really strong breakers. So eventually you're gonna get the breakers in, pick up a KO. You can do teams like that. This is also one of those kinds of teams, right? You have Mega Guard as the breaker. You have Serp to para. Like this is low-key para spam between these three. Plus like Volt Turn into Guard. Like there's a lot of synergy in a team like this. And then you have like stuff like Scarf Crook to really clean up endgames, Intimidate, Fizdef, Wall, Rocks kind of thing. Registeel, another T-Wave user. Like Spread Status, be bulky. It's nice. This team though does rely a lot on Defog Crobat. It's like the one weakness of the team, I think. Anyways, this also Mega Guard version. You have, you know, Prankster T-Wave, so always an emergency button, speed control, stuff like that. Another T-Wave user. Like a lot of the strong Gardevoir builds are going to be like low-key paraspam. So between these two, you can paralyze a lot of the team. You have your spinner, so hazard control. Between spin and defog, this is about as good as it's going to get in Oras for hazard control. Then you have like Zygarde, which this team, Oras Zygarde, there's no 1,000 arrows, but this team usually does use it as like a Scarfer, a mixed attacker, DD, something like that, win condition. And yeah, you can Pursuit Trap if you want to, but the team's not really built around Sneasler, or Sneasel. Then Conk, just a generally good Pokemon, I think. But yeah, these are some successful structures. You see also Keldeo with a double steal. You have Scizor plus the Heatran. This is a combination that is very classic. You have Removal. Togekiss is a great Pokemon in Oras, and then Diggersby to break. This is like one of the more unconventional looking teams, but it did really well. Yeah. Then let's look at some of the successful DCL teams, right? So let's see. What had the best records here? This exact same guard team did pretty well. Another guard team, this one with also Paraspam, right? Between the Rotom, the Serp, the Cobalion, the Latios, all these have T-Wave and can use them. Just like Volt Turn as well. Volt Switch, and then you can get your Gardevoir in, your Swellow as well. Something like this. This one was my favorite out of the three that we drafted on the Armory. Grengalade I think is a really solid combination, especially with Scizor. And then Landoi dropped to round 4, so of course we had to pick that up. And yeah, Togekiss was great. And then here you have like the double steal again, the Scizor Heatran. Great combination with Landoi, Latios, some good breakers. And then, you know, just generally a strong team here, very annoying to prep for. What else here? This one went forward to another Keldeo team with Togekiss, Mega Manectric, so this is a very fast team for Oras. Jirachi as well, Jirachi Togekiss, right? The Serene Grace kind of thing. Both can para, both can flinch. So maybe if you're noticing a trend here, it is just Paraspam plus breakers, right? Seems to be the most consistent thing. Then here another Keldeo team. This one is like a cool one, a little different. Talonflame, Mega Sableye, right? We've seen this one in the past. Also see it now, right? Clefable. This is more like a bulkier style, right? With Mega Sableye to control spikes going up. So if you're going to go for like a bulkier style, if you're more comfortable using like Bat Balance, maybe you could look for like a Talonflame, Mega Sableye build, because Talonflame has gotten pretty cheap over the years. Togarachi, your favorite duo, yep. Then stuff like this, right? This is just Volt Turn with spikes. So this team, I think, brought Roselia quite a bit. And then, yeah, just Volt Turn, U-turn, 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 Volt Switch. Maybe on something like this, you would prefer like a stronger breaker than the Gengar. Is it time for the return of Suicune? Low-key, it might be. I think Suicune might be back. But yeah, this is like loosely based on the Season 6 DPL that like Rob was using, right? I forgot I was going to go over that, and I just got sidetracked. So Lando T... Was it this? Yeah, this one here. Looks very similar to this team, and this team was really great. It's just Volt Turn, right? But you have Volt Turn into things like Life Orb Starmie, which the tier does not exactly switch into very well. And then like Roserade, right, for spikes. Yeah, U-turn, U-turn, Volt Switch. Yeah, it's just a great team. And then the other Lando T team that did well this season was... Right, Noble Victory. This was, again, Volt Turn into... I guess not Volt Turn, it's just Lando T Mega Medicham. Right, you U-turn on some stuff into your High Jump Kickmon. Another Starmie for some spin control. Spikes up, but this team doesn't really need the spikes as much. Then, like, you have your fat Sylveon Registeel core. You have Pursuit for your Mega Medicham. There's a lot of synergy here on this team. This one as well, like, maybe not the best example of a Lando T team that you might want to copy or, like, take inspiration from. But yeah, this season, Lando T really popped off. So if you have a Lando T, I would definitely consider getting something like this, right? Just Volt Turn, Manaphy to really punish balance builds, spikes up, U-turn Volt Switch into like Starmie as like your breaker. Again, maybe you could fit a different breaker here, but between Manaphy, Starmie, you know, a lot of things like the water checks are going to get worn down over time, especially both of them having Scald with that 12% burn. That's a good example of some Lando drafts. What else here? Are there any cool Lando drafts here? Yeah, like this one here. This is exactly what I'm talking about, of like Volt Turn plus Breaker kind of thing. Lando T, Scizor, U-turns out. Gallade can break through a lot of the meta. Heatran is actually a pretty decent breaker. And then Gren versus offensive teams can really farm a lot of matchups. Then you have the Gren Gallade synergies, right? They kind of beat each other's checks. And yeah, this is really great. What else here? Kind of went over it before, but same idea, right? The Guard, the Thundy, the Heatran, and the Terrakion to punish steals. Like, there's some good synergies here. Take inspiration from that. What else? Oh, this is a cool team, right? Yeah, again, Volt Turn into Breaker, but this time the Breaker is Mega Glalie, which for only 3 points, about as good as you can get for that cheap option, and allows you to really spend more on these like other great Pokemon. Obviously your Mega is not going to be quite as good, but it's still a great option, especially on a team like this, right? Where you really enjoy the spikes and the breaking that Glalie can provide. Let's see, what else here? Oh, you know what I really enjoyed in Oras? This team right here. This was awesome. I used this team like for 5 or 6 games in the season, and it's just so good. The Garchomp Keldeo Zapdos, which has been copied since... yeah, I think just Keldeo, Garchomp, Zapdos, they have so much nice synergy, where it's really hard to check all 3 of them. And then Snorlax is kind of the glue that makes this all work. Like, this top 5 is really great. I think the bottom 3, you could like change these around, you know, get a different steel type, different mega, but this 3 plus Snorlax, I think is really, really a fantastic combination. Yeah, it's so good, right? Shout out to Keegan. Oh, what about Suicune? I was not reading the chat for a little bit. So Suicune. Is it as not as relevant in Oras as I thought? It's definitely more relevant in Oras than in other gens, but it's kind of not super popular these days. For whatever reason. I think it might be because the teams generally bring T-Spikes a little bit more often, and Suicune hates T-Spikes, but also likes abusing T-Spikes on the opposing side, so it kind of goes both ways there. Might just be a little bit too fast-paced for Suicune these days. That being said, I think Suicune definitely has room to get drafted in Oras and do well. It's definitely not bad. Granbull, Lantern, Heatran, Caspilled, yep. There's less balance, so it's more exploitable. Yeah, there's generally going to be more Pokemon faster than Suicune than like in the past. That being said, I think Suicune is totally reasonable to draft. But yeah, like here, the exact same thing. I know they dropped a bunch of stuff at mids to pick up a very similar team. Like, this is a similar concept, right? The Chomp Keldeo, the Snorlax. See, this one doesn't have the Zapdos, but instead you have Mega Mane plus Skarm as your steal, and then Uxie over Mesprit. Like, it's a very similar structure. Like, this top 6 is good. It's just a good combination. Oh, this is actually cool. I didn't realize this, but this is like the same top 4 core as the team we used in DCL2. The Gallade, Scizor, the Lando Eye, and then we had a Gren instead of the Weavile, but similar concept, right? Let's see what else here. I don't know, yeah. The GOAT in Oras is Starmie. Yeah, Starmie is really, really good. It's a little bit expensive these days, but I've done my best not to bump it too much where it's like actually tough to draft for the price. I think it's still good for the price. It's probably the best hazard removal in the tier. So if you're running a team that's like low-key weak to spikes or something like that, definitely go for a Starmie. It's like the best option available. How would you build around a Mew? You can do everything. You want to try and draft it to not force it in one roll. That's kind of the that was the thought process like way back in the day. People always said draft Mew round 1 and then pretend that you don't have a Mew, and then just draft the team normally. So you have a Mew plus a normal team, and then that really unlocks you to do whatever you want. And to an extent, I think that's still somewhat true. We see something like this quite a lot, which is like the Mew, Infernape, Crocodile, Crobat. Like this top 4 is very, very common actually. For a reason, right? You have the Crocodile, the Infernape. These are like good physical offense. Crobat kind of takes the defog role away from the Mew. Like you don't want your Mew defogging. That's like never the best use of your Mew. But on a team like this, right? Mew's kind of more freed up. Now, sometimes it will have to be bulky. That's just kind of the nature of 8-mon. You're not going to be able to fill all those roles entirely. But you can see this does kind of do a decent job. Like Rocks, you don't need to be on Mew. Even Will-O-Wisp, you have like Infernape. If you need to neuter some physical attackers, you don't need to run like Stallbreaker Mew with Wisp Taunt. You can like actually run Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, like the actually threatening Mews. Another Mew Infernape, this time with another Crobat, another Mega Blastoise. So this was a trend at the time, it seems. But then Kyurem Black as a breaker. Yeah, what else here? Where's the Mews? This is like Mew with some like Gren Zapdos kind of thing. Then here, another Mew Infernape. So Infernape is definitely a common Mew pairing. Why is King of 5 the #1 Bloons Tower Defense 6 player in North America? No, I'm actually the Battles player. I don't really play the single player one. Your Mew team, which did quite well, was Mew, Mega Scizor, Infernape, Hydreigon, Seismitoad, Crobat. Yeah, again with the Infernape Crobat, right? It's a common theme with Mew teams. So maybe if you have a Mew, definitely look to get those guys, because they're common for a reason. But yeah, Mega Scizor, another great option with Mew. Right. What else can we talk about with Oras? We could talk about Keldeo real quick, because if you look at the stats, right? If you look at here, where is he? I'm blind? Yeah, right here. So Keldeo in the last DCL had an 88% win rate. Now, I'm not going to say Keldeo is soloing these games, but it's definitely part of some successful structures, right? Like, I actually watched all the replays because I had thought about doing a video on Keldeo, but it turns out Keldeo only really was a major contributor in like 2 games out of the 9. So I didn't actually end up making a video about it. How viable is raw T-Tar to sand chip your opponents and for it to pursuit trap rocks? I think raw T-Tar is a little bit interesting. Usually you'd rather just go ahead and get the Excadrill, right? Because you're already spending so much on the T-Tar, you may as well get the most out of it. Where's the drafts? There it is. Let's see, like, yeah, the Keldeo here with the Sableye Talon we looked at. And then again, like the Chomp Keldeo Zapdos kind of thing. This one only came to 1 game, but yeah, you see it. And then the last one, where's the other Keldeo? Did I miss it? Yeah, right here. So yeah, just like some good builds if you want to take inspiration. Is Yard Sand now overhyped after years of it being a top core? Yeah, Yard Sand, it never actually had great tournament success. I think people just saw it and they're like, that's so cool, I want to use it. I think maybe 1 team had it and went positive. A lot of like even-ish records, like just under 500. Yeah, I think if you're going for Yard now, the way to do it is actually Cress. Yard Cress. If you're interested in that, watch Keegan's video. It's on YouTube. It's I think he did pretty well in a tournament with Mega Charizard Y plus Cress, plus like a bulky kind of team like that. Yeah, Cress is like, I think Cress is probably underutilized at the moment for Oras. Definitely some room for it to show up. I think Lunar Dance things, like I saw in I think it was Sun and Moon OU, there's a team running around with Vincoon, which is Sub Protect Calm Mind with Pressure Stalling Suicune, plus Lunar Dance Cresselia to get all the PP back. So you have basically 2 PP stall Suicune angles. Lanoti Lottie Yard Crash. Well, I can't speak for a second there. Lando Lottie Yard Cress. Hariyama Lantern Klefki. Yeah. Yeah, Yard Sand does have some issues. Lunar Dance does restore PP. That's the difference between that and Healing Wish. It is heat, yeah. I think Screens plus Lunar Dance, plus maybe like an SD Dual Dance Lando T, something like that. Just any setup threat, right? Megazard X with DD. A Mega Gallade, right? Screens up SD. You could do a lot with something with Crest support. The same thing can be done with Latios, but Crest is less expensive. It's also really good at just walling things, right? You're never going to fear like a Mega Metacham or anything like that. Yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff you can do. Probably off topic and probably very old news, but I was taught that Gallade was the best Mega allowed. Assume the 2 routes Megas kind of trade that title. So Mega Gallade is probably the best Mega in Sun and Moon, which is Gen 7. Is that true? Let me double check the Sun and Moon board. I guess Mega Mawile is starting to be allowed now, but definitely Mega Gallade is in contention for being the best Mega in Sun and Moon. But for Oras, it always has been and always will be Mega Gardevoir. It's just, there's a little bit of a gap between Guard and the next best Megas. And to be honest, I think Gallade probably could trade places with Mega Lopunny these days. Yeah. And also, hello, yes. What's up? That's what you're told for Sun and Moon as well? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Sun and Moon. For Oris, it's not the case. Like, Gallade is really great. It's probably a top 3 Mega, in my opinion. I probably have it over Lopunny as of late. So yeah, probably swap these two in price would be my recommendation. But yeah, I think Gallade has had some strong performances. It's not exactly the best because of the speed mechanics. Like, you don't get your speed on the first turn. Mega Metagross and GBA Erasure. Okay, that guy is turbo banned. he's just so banned. It's insane. Makes sense. All right, you're welcome. Any other questions about Oras? Maybe this is a 10 to 13 mon draft bias thing. I mean, Guard is the GOAT over there as well. Like, even in those larger drafts. Way harder to handle Guard. Is it? I think it's about the same, right? If anything, it's a little bit easier because you can more specifically tech into less Pokemon. So if you have like an exact Gardevoir check, you know, there's less number of Mons that you have to deal with outside of that. I don't know, it's not a big difference either way. I do like 8mon being more exact with the prep. I think it's just cooler. That's why I pretty much only run the tournament format these days. Last time I was in like a 11mon league was quite a while ago at this point. Really only do tournaments. I just enjoy the format better. Let's see. But yeah, for like some top tier cores, we see the Mega Gardevoir, the Thundy, the Uxie, that kind of thing. Or you could do the Superior and the Rotom Wash, that kind of thing. With Lando T, I would just go for some Volt Turn plus Breaker with some spikes. I think that's the best way to support it. With Garchomp, I really do enjoy the Garchomp Keldeo Zapdos thing if you're able to get that sort of thing. Lando I think pairs really well with Greninja, stuff like that. Mega Glade, stuff like that. If you're able to get that. Mew, we went over some stuff with that. Infernape, Crocodile, Crobat, stuff like that. Really common with Mew. Then lower than that, you know, we can start getting into some other stuff, you know, less exact cores. I don't know. Round 1 is kind of a little bit sus on the back end of Oras, but you do get some nice round 2 picks as well. So give some, you take some. Let's see, what are some options here? Like some people, they'd be drafting like Mega Lopunny plus what? What do people draft Lopunny with? Was this the tournament where people didn't draft Lopunny? Yeah, it was. Where's the Lop? Okay, yeah, here. We did not do so well with this, but I do think this draft was actually good. It's just a little unlucky that it went 1 and 2. I think Lopunny Manaphy plus Healing Wish. I think double Healing Wish into Manaphy is actually really strong in the format. It's unfortunate I wasn't able to wield it a little bit better. Now we're talking about Oras, but I have a Sun and Moon question. How important is Dark typing in 8mon and just the tier in general? I mean, it's better to have a Dark type than not have one. Just in general, right? Pursuit is a great move to have. Knockoff, Stab Knockoff is great. Just the Psychic check is the big deal, right? Is it mandatory? Not really. People don't be drafting like Reuniclus like that anymore, where like, you know, you do want a Dark type or some form of Encore kind of thing to prevent Dual Dance Reuniclus from really just like sitting on you. But Dark type isn't the only way to deal with that sort of thing. You know, phasing, taunts, Encore, that sort of thing. Like if you look at the top performing Sun and Moon drafts, you're gonna see Dark types on here. Like this one has double Dark. Dark type here. Dark type here. But a lot of these, they're like more so offensive Dark types, where it's just, they're not drafted because they're Dark types, but mostly because the Pokemon is good and they happen to be a Dark type, which is also helpful, you know? With Reunion in general, do you kind of want to have something that actually damaged it though? What do you mean? You have something that actually damaged it? Like just wall break past it, or what? Or you mean like the Dark type needs to actually beat the Psychic types? Like you can't just run mono foul play or something like that? Maybe that's what you mean? Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. I think Taunt is the big one, right? With Dark types versus Reuniclus. A lot of them get Taunt. Also, this here, I think is probably the best Sun and Moon draft ever made. Like, no glaze. This is just so good. But anyways, Oras video. What about for Prankster type mons? You're in a debate about this in a team tour, so I'm trying to get a good solid ground for it. Like, do you need Prankster? No, but for some teams it's a really nice tool to have, right? You have stuff like Prankster Encore, which, you know, can be really useful. You have Prankster T-Wave. These are good tools to have as like an emergency button, but you don't really need to like always have a Prankster user. That's just kind of silly. Like Thundee with T-Wave. Just something to like stop setup threats. If your team is a little bit weak to that sort of thing, then sure, go ahead and get a Prankster T-Wave, but don't go out of your way to get one, you know? Whimsy's your favorite mon in Oras? Gets away with so much nonsense? Yeah. I mean, a lot of offensive Whimsicots do well in Oras. We've seen quite a few, like Life Orb, specs kind of things do pretty decently. And then of course Subseed, Prankster Encore, that sort of stuff is also useful. Yep. Right. I just accidentally opened something on my computer. Oops. That helps a bit. Thanks. You're welcome, man. And I think that's pretty much where we're going to end the stream here, right? We kind of did everything I wanted to with Oras. Kind of went over the top performing structures here. Answered some questions. Yeah, not too much else for me to say here unless you guys have more questions for me to answer. Then we'll wrap it up. Thanks for the stream. Hey, appreciate that. Alright, I think that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. I'll add some timestamps in the description for the VOD for people watching back. But yeah, that's be all for me. Thanks for watching. See you the next time.